I'm going to show you how I built this 3D printed skateboard rack so that it would be strong, simple, and functional. Problem was, I had a bunch of these skateboards laying around in the garage, and I had nowhere to put them. I had these guys leaning up against the wall for a minute now. So I got to looking online and looking for a skateboard rack, and I just couldn't find exactly what I wanted. And I looked at some 3D printed ones, and they were either a little silly, they didn't look great, or they just weren't what I was looking for. They weren't designed right. A 3D printed part doesn't have to be weak. It can be strong. You just have to design around the limitations of the 3D printing process itself. Those the layer lines, the material you use, the nozzle width, the orientation in which you print it, those are the most important things. It's not really about the infill. A lot of people like to think that just put 100% infill and that's gonna make all your parts strong, but that's not true. That got me thinking how to make my own 3D printed skateboard rack and how I can make that strong. So this part is actually pretty subjective. There's not really a right or a wrong answer. You just have to kind of feel it out. So you see like how far up the board should the rack grab? How much support does it need? How much force is this putting on my fingers? So I drew it up on the counter, just a simple clamp that's gonna hold the board, and started dimensioning that out. We gotta make it fit all the boards, so we used the thickest board to do this, went ahead and got the thickness of it. We got the offset that we were gonna need to keep that off of the wall. And once again, we're just gonna use the biggest board. We got the radius of the concave on there. We're just gonna do it with a piece of string, the old school way.
I thought I heard something, but then I think it was quite literally the wind.
And we're going to take a break from this video to tell you to subscribe to the Skids YouTube channel, because in the next video, me and Nick are going to be riding dirt bikes on some classic trails.
It's like foreshadowing.
Yeah, it's like next week on Skids.
Do it! Do it now! Do it now!
And then once we got all those dimensions, it was time to make a test piece. And that test piece is great because that's going to save you a lot of time, save you a lot of filament, making sure you get that fitment right. Most of the time when I build stuff like this, you know, this stage goes through a couple of different additions until I get it to where I'm happy with it. But with this one's good, so we're just going to go right for it. And once we had that fitment, then it was time to design the whole piece. So we hopped over into CAD, whipped one of those up real quick, printed it out, had a look at it, and I was looking at it, I got it right here, and then looking at this first one, right away there's a couple things I didn't like. I printed it out and I said, okay, the proportions are just not quite right, the holes in the front are kind of, don't look the best, and you know, it doesn't fit the logo quite right. At first I thought it'd be a good idea to have these bolt holes going through it, to just put the hole straight through, you know, why have it go up higher? But then once the skateboard's here, you can't see what's behind it anyway, so it would make way more sense just not to have the holes in the front. It would just look better. So then we hit version 2. Version 2, we got the dimensions right so that it fits the logo nicely and just overall looks cleaner, more polished, like a finished product. Problem solved. Except it got me thinking, what's missing? And then I hit version 3 because I thought, why not add a spot to hold your skate tool? Skate tool holder, board holder, super strong, super functional, easy to just grab your board, grab your skate tool, and go. And for the printing techniques, we went ahead and used a .08 nozzle. 08 nozzle's got those nice thick layer lines. They stick together really good, gives it its best chance of being the strongest part we can make. That's gonna make the part stronger because the larger extrusion path makes the layers bond together better and makes it stronger in the end. There is a trade-off though, because those layer lines are gonna be much more visible, but I don't care because I want it to be strong and it's going to hold skateboards in my garage. So went ahead and used regular old ASA for it. ASA is a great material to use instead of PLA because it's stronger, it's more heat resistant, it's has UV resistant if the sun gets on it. It's a little bit more difficult to print. You have to glue it down to the bed because it does warp sometimes when you're printing it and pop off the bed. But great material, I like using it. And then the most important part of printing it was designing the part with those print lines in mind, because all those little print lines are just weak points that it's gonna snap along. So when the skateboard's in here, it's gonna be pulling on this front edge. It's gonna be putting force right here. And it's also gonna be pushing on this edge right here. So if this thing's gonna break, it's probably gonna break right here. So we definitely don't want the layer lines going this way with that, because then it's gonna break super easy right here. So one thing we could do to get around that is we could put the layer lines like this, which would make it strong in this section right here. The problem with that is that they'd be going along this, and then it would probably break right here. So it would break with the layer lines and it would just snap the whole front of this right off. So the answer to this is really to put the layer lines going like this and to print the whole thing straight up, because that'll make it so that if it were to break, it would want to break in the middle like this, which is not a concern for us because there's not going to be any forces trying to break it that way. And then for our screw mounting locations, since it's going to be pulling and pushing, there's going to be a twisting moment on this. So this is going to be being pushed into the wall. This is going to be being pulled out of the wall. So the best place to put the screws is at the top here to screw this into the wall. When I designed it intentionally so that the layer lines don't meet up with any stressed points on it. That way it has its best chance of being strong and surviving. And then once I put it to the test, it was clear this thing was way stronger than it needed to be. What can we hang on? It's really heavy.
I mean, you're pretty heavy.
Okay, okay, these are completely full. Okay, long story short, this thing's probably gonna rip the screws out of the wall before it breaks. It is fully capable of handling a skateboard or 10. This was a super fun little project to do in the garage real quick to make a little skateboard rack. Really got to demonstrate some cool engineering and 3D printing techniques and how to make a very strong part. So I put the STL files up on the website. You can go ahead and download those if you want to try to print one of these out yourself. If you don't have a printer with an enclosure or you don't have ASA, they're also on the website. You can just buy them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.